Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Spartan Ultra Training Program, where this time we're going to be dealing with the concepts of success versus the concept of winning and the different strategies that kind of go into each mindset we can have going into one of these races. Again, we've basically finished the physical aspect of our training part. We're now going to start winding things down as we go into the race. Kind of our main goal now is to basically have injury prevention going in is going to be more important than getting a little extra physicality, a little extra training in at a time, because it's going to be super important to go in injury free. And if you want to recap on what we're doing towards that, you can go towards the last video, and that kind of gives what the last push towards the race is going to wind up being in the end. That said, this video, rather than dealing with kind of abstract topics, this is going to be probably very personal towards me and using a lot of my own examples and what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be looking for in this race coming up. So if you can glean stuff off of that, that's going to be great. If not, it might just be one of those interesting sessions to come from. So as you've known by this point, I have done this course. I have done ultras on this course numerous times in the past. I have 2 other times we've actually done it on here. And each one, one of them I aimed for success. One of them I aimed for a win. And we're going to go over kind of how this came about and what the results were from each of these in the first place. So my drive to do the ultras in the first place goes back way back to 2019. I remember going online when they had the World Championship at the time. You could like live track all the people. It was out in Sweden. It was a fun time. It used to be a 24-hour race. And I remember going on there, going on the website, generally just kind of tracking, seeing how people were doing throughout there. I was like, wow, I want to do that. That sounds really cool. So next year, trained really hard to do my first ultra. It was 2020, COVID hit, and couldn't do it. So year after that, 2021 came around. I went to do it over here. It was all set to go Vernon. Like a month before Vernon came up, they canceled it again. But they opened up Ohio, went and did that one. It was like a 90-degree day that day. I'm notoriously bad at doing doing stuff like in the middle of summer. So I pretty much like heat bombed that one by the end. I wound up doing halfway decently. I think it was in the middle of the pack or something, but I learned to, hold back a little bit on that. So the next year came around, and all right, we're going to do this. Everything is open again. We're going out, went to Vernon. I trained like crazy, but I had in the back of my head that Ohio race where, it's a long course. Never done before. It is a long time out there. So I'm going to hold back. I'm going to do like the safe way. If you watch the by the numbers video that I put out like 10 weeks ago or whatever, I kind of had a game plan in mind and went about a very safe kind of plan to give myself the best chance at a good time on that. And it wound up really working. At the first half of the race, I wound up with like a 16-minute mile, which was about equal to what my fastest beast time was. And overall, I wound up with like a 9:40. I think it was like just above a 9:40 time on the day, which it placed well enough. I was in the top 10 in my age group. It was good. I was happy. It was a really fun time. Did that. Signed up for Worlds. Worlds got canceled due to a forest fire out by the area. And I came back then again the next year, and I was like, okay, I believe they didn't have a World Champions at the time because they were still kind of restructuring how they were doing, I think, that whole scenario. I don't know the behind the scenes stuff, but after doing the safe way the time before, I figured, no, I want to push it this time. I can go faster. So I set a game plan out that I was going to do. I was going to aim for like a 15-minute mile for as long as I could. And then if I died off at the end, I'd die off at the end. And different mindset that I tried to push myself a little more. And what happened was after about a half marathon in, we got to the base of that third climb. And my legs, I could no longer break down the lactic acid I was building up as fast as I was building it up. And my legs just turned to absolute stone. So for the next 20 miles, I kind of entered into what I'm going to call survival mode, where it's just the race part is done. Now it's just trying to get myself through the course. And because of that, what wound up happening is I wound up being over an hour slower than the time before. I may have started quicker, but it was a rough back half to the race. But that's part of what you hit when you aim for a win versus you aim for success. If you're aiming for success, you can very kind of safely make your way through. You do the by the numbers thing. That's a very kind of safe way you can get into a roughly 10-hour time on the course. You can alter the numbers a little bit. Rather than go like a 25-minute up the hill, you can do like a 24-minute up the hill, in which case you could do like a 14-minute jog down versus 13 minutes. You can play with the numbers a little bit, but if you follow that, it's a safe way to get a really good time. If you want to win, you're generally going to a casino. And that's part of the difference, is if you want to win, you're going to have to push yourself harder than you think you might. Again, we're doing subtlety on this. We're not just like sprinting out. You could do just a minute per mile faster. It makes a difference. So you're not all out going out there. You're doing it within reason. But if you want the mindset of winning, you're going to have to take a chance. You get up to the plate in baseball, you're going to have to swing the bat. You may hit it. You may hit the ball. You may just swing and miss. But that's part of the game plan. That's part of just the game on how this works. And the last time I was at the course, I just swung and missed. I had what I wanted to, and then my body physically couldn't do it. So this time around, I want to do that again. My game plan right now is, again, weather pending. The last couple times at the start of the race, the first half of the race, it was gorgeous weather. It had been dry the entire week. It was flat course. It was a fast course. Yes, the last time I was there, it deteriorated in the afternoon, and that didn't help things. I was already miserable at that point to begin with because I had killed myself in the first half, and then I was freezing and cold by the end. But as of right now, the weather is looking pretty dang good for the whole thing. It's going to be another, it looks like, dry, fast course. Cross the fingers. We're still 3 weeks out, but who knows? But my game plan, again, is going to be try for that 15-minute mile for as long as I can kind of hold that as an average for the uphills and downhills. And I'm trying to hold that as, because I'm in better shape actually now than I was the last time I was here a couple years ago. Just in this past week, last weekend, I went and ran one of my fastest half marathons ever for practice. I just wanted to time myself on it, so I went for it. It may or may not have been the appropriate thing to do for this particular training, but I just wanted that. And then then a couple days later, I ran, actually I think it was literally my fastest zone 2 run at like a distance over, say, 5 miles I've ever done. So physically, I feel like I have a better chance of doing it this time than I did in the past. And I'm going to cross the fingers. My goal this time is I do want that. I want to see if I can put myself in a position to get, I don't know if I can medal on this course, but I do want to give myself a chance to try to put myself in that position. If I can get that, say, 15-minute mile for the first half, I'm probably going to drop about 4 minutes per mile or something on the second half. You just naturally go slower in the end. It's what happens. So if that puts me at that, like, say, 17-minute mile-ish, 17.5-minute mile range throughout the entire course, that's a 9-hour time. And if I can do that, I'm going to be super pleased. So rather than play it safe like I did the first time, my goal in this time going through, at least as of right now, we're going to be playing mind games the entire month, trying to strategize how to do this, which is part of the fun of the month before a race. It just, my mind does this. But that's where I'm going to be kind of going on this one. Again, depending what your goal is going in, you can change things whatever you want to do. If you're going in a group and your goal is to like watch the person next to you complete the course because they've never done one before, that's an awesome goal to have too. It doesn't have to be a racing type goal. You can treat this as an event and it's 100% fine. If your goal is just to finish, that's 100% fine. These are not easy courses to do. If your goal is to just finish, I would say maybe probably look at your watch and maybe try to keep an eye on that like 25 minutes per mile throughout that first kind of lap. Like I said, I think you have somewhere between like 27 to 28-minute mile has to be your pace throughout the whole thing. You will go slower on the second lap. So as long as you can keep that 25 on the first, you should be fine throughout the whole thing, even if you do start slowing down for the second. But yeah, no, we're all going to have different goals. So trying to do an episode that's going to cover everything is going to be hard to do. But I also wanted to put this out there because one of the reasons I have this series isn't just to teach you stuff. It's when I come and look back in these sometime in the future, it's fun going through videos again. At least I can kind of see where my own mindset is going when doing these types of races. And yeah, I do play these mind games a lot, and it is fun coming back to these again, just seeing what was I thinking before I went into this either really awesome race coming up or what's going to wind up being a complete train wreck in the end. We're not going to know, but at least this documents where I was going on this whole thing. So maybe you got something out of this, maybe you didn't. I don't know. Next time is, now that I've put stress and stuff on myself, next time we're going to be going over ways to alleviate the stress come race day, what we're actually going to be going through on race day as we kind of mentally go through step by step to make this a more fun and optimistic race going in. Because yeah, nerves are going to be once race day comes, and there are a number of things we can do to get over that and get past that nerve area. And that's what next week's video is going to be. And then the final week when we go out, the video may not go out on Sunday. The final week leading up into the race, I think when the map finally goes out, I might do a video just on a map review, and we can kind of cover, yeah, how I physically plan on going through the course, areas of concern, areas that might be fast, areas that might be slow. Just kind of, we'll do a quick once over on that part. So that's generally how the rest of this series is going to play out. And then of course there's going to be after the race itself, kind of a debriefing at the end to just kind of go everything. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have a video camera on me during the race. Again, I am doing a competitive age group kind of run. I will be doing this for time. So you're going to get a verbal recap at the end, but I'll try to make it as exciting as I did on the Killington one, because apparently a lot of people like the Killington ones. I'm going to try to do one kind of like that. So that's where this whole thing is going. Hope this helps. And yeah, until next time, and until we go over that topic, enjoy.